Greetings to you. This is Brother Salih, once again representing the Zeb Tepe Institute. And we're laying a foundation for our podcast called Muhammad Has the Keys Self Knowledge Podcast. So we're just trying to put a few things out there to kind of, one, find out where people are at, and two, to try to lay a foundation for what will be coming later in more, I guess, advanced or longer presentations. This is part of what we call the jewel dropper series, where we just putting some stuff out there to help people build and to maybe aid in seeing the situation, or maybe even just confirm what they're already thinking or what they've already been informed about. But in any event, right, this whole thing is coming out of the theology of time, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it's tied to the knowledge of self. So this morning, what I wanted to do was just put another little piece out there, because we're talking about time and we're looking at the cycles of, and the one that's closest to us to look at is the cycle between night and day. As we flow through night and day, we try to show how that is energy, and that energy, that the sunlight hitting the earth for a period of time, and then as the planet spins, then the cool, moist air from being away from the sun, how that is actually driving all of the biological and physiological and whatever processes that are life as we know it. And that all of that exists within an electromagnetic field that is from the very motion or these cycles of spheres in space. And that's where the energy of all physical being comes from. So, we're approaching a subject like that. And what we're trying to do is help people see how that can be utilized in today's world. Because imagine this, if you have an understanding of the nature of creation and all of its agencies, I say that's pretty significant, right? And something that the world is constantly striving to try to achieve. But in any event, right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm gonna drop this out there. He used the term. He said that the first man created himself out of the light that was the center of the circle, and then he willed the sun into being, and then 6 trillion years after that, man came forth. That's the way the Honorable Elijah Muhammad describes the coming of man, or the self-creation of man, because that's what he's talking about. Now, our mind, that thing that's the center of our being, where all of our awareness and perception comes from, the source of our being, that is connected to the divine mind that is producing all this. So when we look at these cycles of energy, right, as I said before, one of the cycles that is important for us when it comes to ourselves is the breath cycle, because our inhale and exhale, it affects brain waves and a whole bunch of other things that got to do with your metabolism and physiology. So our ancestors for eons understood the science of trance or meditative trance, where you could then regulate your breathing using diaphragmatic breathing and bring in larger amounts of oxygen and then stretch the breath out for a longer period of time. Now, when you do that, not only are you fully utilizing your lungs, right, but and you're fully circulating whatever needs to be circulated throughout your body, but you're also changing the rate of your brain waves. And this is where it gets down at. See, we have the ability to look inward and to make connections to the source of our being. I'm talking about that which is bringing forth everything else, that which is creating everything else, that which is creating and bringing about a perfect balance in the manifestation of all forms. That is the source of ourselves. That is where all knowledge and all things come from. Now, we're merely talking about learning how to turn our focus inward using certain breathing techniques and to explore that source that's at the source of our being. That is what the knowledge of self is. When when Adam knew Eve in the Bible, it didn't mean that it was a theory or he had faith. What he meant was that he actually physically, I guess, experienced Eve. It was an actual experience. So when we talk about self-knowledge, we're talking about an actual experience. When we go inward and begin to develop lines of communications with the source of ourselves. Now, there's a lot of people that would probably find this as saying, saying that, yeah, we pipe dreaming, that people meditate all the time, and but the truth is they do have that experience. And that meditation is known to have all kinds of practical benefits for the human being. But the focus of connection with the source of self. And then here's another important part. Because of the suffering of people that are oppressed in this world, that has changed some stuff in them, which makes them particularly apt to connect with the source. Now, this is Brother Salih, and I wanted to just drop that out there because we're talking about the theology of time, but at the same time, we're talking about the knowledge of self, and we're trying to understand the energies that create our world and the reality that we exist in. And that all of that we're saying is at the source of ourselves, and that to tie in and connect with that is to connect to the mind that is producing all this imbalance. Brother Salih, once again from the Zep Tepi Institute, coming to you hoping that we can begin to vibe. And collectively, because there's another piece, collectively, as we learn to get in touch with the source of ourselves, then when several of us come together with that knowledge, the scripture says that where there are two gathered together in my name, there I am also. Thank you for listening, Brother Salih from the Zep Tepi Institute, hoping that today will be a good day for you as you go forth. Peace be with you.